Hey everyone, I'm Michael Bruce, CMO at Agent Moves, and welcome to our Good to Great series. We're all about helping amazing agents, amazing realtors become great and trying to help make some new ones great. So here today we have with us Pete Lorenzo. Hey Pete,
How are you? Thanks for having me.
thank you so much for joining us, Pete.
Appreciate it.
So, I like to talk about something that agents haven't been doing in real estate first to get a little bit to know the agent. I spoke to Pete a little bit before. He's grew up in New Jersey, born and bred, but loves the city, has to be able to get into the city for the action, which I can relate to in New York, but also needs that blend of nature and into fly fishing in Montana and so forth. So I'd love to hear about the fly fishing. I love getting away. Also, I've tried it a few times. It is freaking hard. But tell us a little about getting away.
Getting away is important, especially in this industry where it's intertwined into your life. So one thing I love about New Jersey is you get to go down to the beach. I can get up to Vermont, but my real true love is getting out west, where my brother actually moved to Idaho. We found I have friends in Montana, so we try to get out. We try to get out there. Just the majestic, everything. It's green, water's gin clear. Fly fishing's a nice hobby to take on. So it's important to get away because as an agent, everybody knows we're working all the time.
Yeah, no, that's great. I've actually been out. I've skied in Idaho and in Montana, so I know the country. I've only been out there in the winters, but
Yeah.
I know the same thing with like the Colorado area. Did business out there skiing as being a big skier. Then they made me come out in June. I was like, oh damn, I got to go out there in June. So I know it was beyond spectacular. So I
Yes.
could imagine what the country looks like up out there.
Yep. Yep.
So okay, let's get into talking about how you got here. So awesome what you're doing on
Yeah.
your own time, but tell us a little bit about the journey, right? How do you first get involved in involved?
So my story is a little eclectic. I don't want to go back to coming out of college and school, but I was always in sales. When the economy shifted a bit, I actually wanted to start my own business. I always had that itch to do that. So I've always had an entrepreneurial side, and I'm very good in corporate America too. I worked for some larger companies. I was the director of franchise development for Sylvan Learning Systems, so I sold franchises, and I always pair things up and I look for patterns. I started a company, gosh, it must be 18 years ago. It was called Clutter Crashers, the organizing company. So I was back in the day, I said, there's this boutique business of organizing and all these people doing it individually. Well, why don't I do a larger company and we put teams of people into homes and businesses and we get people organized? Yes, I'm a neat freak. I love being organized. My father was in the Navy. My mother was an interior designer. We had a love of homes and organizing and everything else. I did build that business up for 8 years. I was going to franchise it, and then if you get into franchising, you're in the franchising business, and I didn't want to be organizing when I was 70. Everything that you do, I believe, leads to something. As a real estate agent knows, every deal you're in, even if it's tough, leads to something. So I ended up meeting a gentleman by the name of Gordon Crawford. I helped them organize their home, and he said to me, "You'd make a great referral agent." I didn't know what a referral agent was. So I referred him a couple of homes. I got a couple of referral checks, and I thought, I think it's smart for me to understand what it means to be on the other side of this and to become an agent. So going on the road, at that point in time, relocation in New Jersey was prominent. We would leave at 8:30 in the morning and wouldn't get back home till 8:30 at night, showing 20, $25 million homes. Times have changed over the past decade, and but it did give me a passion for always being able to work. I think the number one, thing we can do in our life is provide ourselves and our families an income. And I love that real estate lets you do that really whenever you want. You can work 24 hours a day if you want. I try not to. And but that's how I got into this. And
Gotcha.
so I've always been one with Keller Williams, and two, I've always been on a team. I am the type of person that needs to have people around me so I show up better. A lot of people I know don't need that, and they're very independent. They're very, on point. They don't need that. I put myself in a position of showing up for the team so I know daily I'm showing up the best I can be, not only for them, and then as an alternative, for myself.
All right. Really interesting. Yeah. So tell me about the first year. Okay, you met Gordon, you did some of this. Tell
First
us
year.
about how it started, that craziness of your first year
Yeah,
learning.
the first year was, Gordon, kind of a legend in real estate, and Chris knows that too. And when you have somebody believe in you, that's really important. So I work on believing in all of my agents. So he would always just say, keep going, keep going. It's going to happen. And I'm always, when I even was the top salesperson at Sylvan Learning Systems, even when I started, I always wanted to go to that first client, making them feel like I've been doing this for years. And I'm good at that. And so I remember going to my first, I think I started with buyers. Then I went on my first listing appointment and they went, sure, we'd like to use you. I had to find them a house too, which was 3 times the amount of their home. And I think the first 6, 7, I think it was 8 months, I did 9 deals. The goal was 10, but I did 9. And I remember going from 1 to like 3, and then from 3 to 6. And then at the end of the year, it was like 7, 8, 9. And I was closing up the business of Clutter Crashers and doing it. So there was a time in there where there was some overlap. So I think that's good for people starting off, because you're never like cutting the line and going straight into it. Everybody doesn't have that luxury. There's always a residual transition. And what I love in real estate is you can do that. You can take buyers out after work on the weekends. That's what I was doing too. And then once I got that first listing, they were dependent upon me a lot of the time. And then we had to be very aggressive with finding them a home. And then somebody's life's in your hands and where they're going to live. So then it just went from there. And I think the second year was like 12 to 16, then 18, 22, 24. There was a little bit of a lull last year, but I started giving my time away to different things. And then we got back this year. And my goal was to double from 24 to 50, and we're on track for 40 for my own right now. We're on track for the team for about 125.
Right, beautiful, beautiful. So tell me some of the things then as you started scaling, right?
Yep.
Like building the team, right? You got into year 2. When
Yeah.
did you actually start building the team?
The team was somewhat built, but more of an individual basis. Gordon was doing so much work that a lot of the people on the team were buyer centric, if I could coin that phrase. Then when I came on the team, we had a couple of other agents that started to do listings as well. The scaling came to really the actually probably year 5, 6, and 7, where we started looking at our databases, focusing on clients that we already had. We're always going after new business. The real value in anybody's database is going back to who you worked with. And I think this past year, I've probably done the best of that. And it took me 10 years to learn that. And my coach, Mandy, has been telling me that for 6 years. Go back. And, you always have that block in your head. They don't want to hear from me. They think I'm bugging them. It took a long time to get back in touch with and say and learn. They want to hear from you. Not only that, I took a larger step and I had, 40 of them over to my house, this past spring. And that was really special too. So they could really see who I am. I want them to know me. And that's where that's where the goal, I don't want to call it the goal, but that's where the meaningful part is in this business, is knowing those people.
Yeah. Yeah, no, no, perfect. I mean, it's, the stat in this industry is crazy, right? That 75% of people don't use the same agent to sell their home that sold them their home because they don't remember them, right? So staying in touch with them. So as you realize the importance of this, and yeah, for once you start building that database, there's nothing more important than the database. Then it becomes, I had an older agent the other day I interviewed said to me, "Have you ever heard of an agent retirement party?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "They never, because you never retire. Like your database just becomes this equity thing that just keeps rolling in."
I Yeah, I don't think people realize. I hope they do if they're listening to this. The agents, and not that a lot of my life, I lost the transition between Clutter Crashers and real estate was a wonderful one, but I had never lost a job in my life, and I remember losing this job, and I interviewed for a pharmaceutical job, and I looked down the line of 50 people in the room. I'm like, I'm not going to get this, role. And it was a crossroads. And I thought, now that's when I did start my business, but I never forgot. I never forget how lucky we are as agents to be able to work as much as we want to and to get paid for it. And it's a special place to be because you are helping so many people, and it's a wonderful industry to be in.
Yeah, it really gets a bad rap. I'm in this thing now a year and a half with, the team here, and it really is a bad rap. Every agent I have spoken to, like you, same thing. The importance of the people's lives. Like you really feel like you have their lives.
Yeah.
It's the most biggest decision they're making, their biggest financial, transaction, and it's all you
Yeah.
helping them.
I think when I came in 12 years ago, there was the talk of, oh, we're going to be like um, travel agents and they're going to be displaced. Then COVID hit, and then out of that, then all of a sudden you started to see the shows of selling OC or Sirhan or this, and I thank them too because they gave real estate a place in our
Yeah,
world that wasn't a used car salesman. We're far from that, and especially in New Jersey where everything's very litigious and the inventory's down and buyers need you have to have good smart people working with you to make these decisions. And I've heard it's you can make it whatever you want, and I take my job, I'll call it my craft, very seriously. Gordon taught me a big lesson. I mean, somebody that's been doing this for he's doing it for 50 years plus, enjoys his life, kept him moving. To see that in him, lets me know, hey, when I'm 70 or 75, what can I be doing? And
yeah.
it keeps me motivated and keeps Chris motivated. And then my job is to, bring that legacy through to the team.
Yeah, yeah. No, just great, great. So tell us a little bit now. You realize you need to stay in touch with your database,
Yeah.
okay? Through your coach. What do you start doing? Having them to your house is awesome. Events are just great.
The events are great. So what we did was, and that's a great question because we actually are always improving it. And this year we came up with a schedule. I go quarterly events, but I also do quarterly market updates. I think that's important. You need to have first. You just can't have events. My job isn't to throw parties and events, though that is fun. It has to come with valuable information about the market and a reminder that if you know anybody buying, selling, renting, or investing, please keep me top of mind. So this morning, for instance, once we actually organized the database really well, and I've got 3 tiers. I have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Tier 1 is basically somebody that gave me 2 or 3 people. Tier 2 is one person. Tier 3 is I worked with them, but I don't have anybody yet. So understanding, let's say I have about 100 of those. Maybe I have over the past 10 years 140, 150 clients, but I have thousands of people I know. I'm focusing on, one, the VIPs. They're the ones that I'm actually taking them out to an event or doing something. But the majority of people every quarter, I'm giving them a market update, leaving a message. This is what I see, what's going on. Please keep me top of mind. I know you will. And by chance, I'm going to be having, like I did, a nice wine and cheese event 1776 here in Marshtown. That was great. Then I called it Lorenzo Palooza, which is an early summer event, and we got that catered. Then I'm going to be doing a early fall event, which is going to be me making pizzas because I love to make pizzas. I know you do too. So, that's special to me. I am Italian. I show my love with food. If I cook for you, I probably love you. So that's what I'm doing, and then we'll do a late fall event, which will be for the team, and that's going to be at a farm that we do in Marshtown, and we usually get about 300 people to that. So that's the whole team. But the other events are me, and that's also what brought me joy. I'm a big proponent of coaching. I hired Amy Brand here, who not only do I have a coach, and I wasn't a big fan of coach. My mind was, oh, I can do everything and I know everything. I gave that up. Even Chris said to my coach, don't let Peter get any more ideas. He has enough ideas. He just needs to execute. I'm very entrepreneurial, so my head's always thinking, you need to take me, and I needed somebody to take me. And I just had to say, look, tell me what to do, and I'll do it. You want me to run 100 yards and spin around 10 times, I'll do it. So Andy's done that on the company side
Uh-huh.
to get us to where we are now. Mandy's been doing that on the individual side, or excuse me, Amy's been doing that on the individual side. So I urge anybody out there, a coach, whether he or she costs you one deal, which probably on average that's what it is, I would do it because Amy and Mandy, they've got me to go from 20 to probably 40 this year, and I'm happy to have that direction.
Right, right.
It lets me focus and lets me be in action rather than thinking and just action.
Yeah, yeah. So, listen, some great stuff there, by the way. That's what I look to get out of this. The way you created the tiers, right? I think everyone, of course, knows their better customers that they've had that are referring them, but how they're tracking them. I haven't heard anyone, again, I've done about 40, 50 of these interviews, literally talk about putting them into tiers to really know their top VIPs and track that.
You got to move that pyramid. The people that you've
Yeah,
worked with but haven't given you anybody. I mean, look, this is a referral business. I'm very nice. I help a lot of people. What have you done for me? And I get to the point where I see, my client Tom around town, and client Tom, a great example. Tom's like, I got to get you somebody. I've got them trained where they're doing that, and he's
yes,
probably still in the bottom tier. He's a VIP, but he's in the bottom tier. He hasn't given me anybody yet, and he knows he wants to, and that's what you need to create. My first, a lot of years were spent just clawing and meeting new people. Where am I going? Knocking on doors. I still do all that, but I flipped it. I flipped it to where I'm spending the most time with people that know me, already trust me, and like me. And my business has gotten, I don't want to say easier. There's more customer care because I'm getting more customers, but I am happy. That's one thing I wanted to mention. We used to do a lot of business off of lead sources, especially when relocation was up. I find that to be diluted. And I found myself almost wanting to get out of the business seriously about a year and a half ago, where I would sit in there and wait and call people that were coming in through, whatever lead source that you're paying 20% for, Upnest or this or that. And nobody knows you from Adam. Nobody really wanted to talk to you. But you were driven to, make those calls. That's not a job that, is enjoyable.
get you
Right.
excited. Yeah. Well,
But
you've built it, you got through it, and
yeah,
that's what it has to be, right? You got to put in that time
yeah,
to get to where you are, to have the database, to then be more selective. Okay, I got a good one for you. Give
sure.
me one, something that you would not do again.
Something I would not do again. I mean, off the top of my head, flyers, postcards. Like, I don't, somebody getting something in the mail with a house I sold. I spent $7,000 on postcards, 2 years ago, two neighborhoods. That's not, a CMA, different, that's fine. But just a general postcard, I won't waste money on that. It's going, first thing I do is, when I get home, and I'm a realtor, but I'll look at the stuff and it goes right in the recycling. I think you have to have valuable information for people
Yeah.
these days. There's so much information out there that you have to differentiate yourself with some type of valuable information.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally agree.
I
Totally
think
agree.
it's something else that I wouldn't do again. But that's the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay. Hey, that works for some people in some markets and others, but yeah, there's an expense to printing, postage. You have to get value. It is another touch point. The
Yeah.
benefit becomes you've touched them, in like traditional. Do most people throw that thing away? Most likely, right?
Most
But
likely, and the point with me was, if I was spending $3,000 I spent $3,000 on a catered event, and I got 3 listings off of it. Well, I just made $60,000. So to me, that in my world that works. Do postcards work? Yeah, they'll give you some brand, but if you're looking at return on investment, that gets it always goes back to the people who know you and trust you.
yeah, yeah, totally. Love it. And we'll kind of end on that, Pete. I think that was great. Some really great advice here. I find, if someone leaves with one nugget from something like this, it's a home run. We got a couple of really good ones out of here from you. So I really appreciate the
I
time.
appreciate the time.
I'll talk to you separately about fly fishing one day.
And pizza.
And definitely pizza. Struggled with the fly fishing, but yeah, we need a pizza conversation. I'm having my dough. But anyway, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Please follow Pete. Tell us where to follow you on social, Pete.
Yeah, you can find me Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. Anybody can always email me, peterglorenzo@kw.com, and I should be easy to find.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for your time. Follow us as well, Asian Moves. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And until next time, thanks again, Pete.
Take care.